Richard Petty is flaming going into turn number 1.
What an unbelievable finish to one of the most extraordinary points battles in the modern era of NASCAR racing. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Punch, and welcome to one of the favorite hangouts of racers in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Sandwich Construction Company. We're going to take a look back at the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup season brought to you by McDonald's. Not Benny Parsons, the season, although Benny has been brought to a lot of McDonald's over the years. Benny, unbelievable drama throughout the year.
Incredible, Jerry. It started in Daytona. What an emotional start to the season. Big crash about halfway through, and it just never stopped. Each week, you had to wonder what would happen next. Ford this year was a dominant manufacturer for the first time since 1969. That propelled Alan Kulwicki, Davey Allison, and Bill Elliot to a points battle chase down to the end of the season. It was incredible. You know, Davey Allison, what tragedies he had to overcome this year. Bill Elliot, what a super start. 4 out of the first 5 races, he won them. And Alan Kulwicki, he just kept plugging along, had 18 top 10s, 11 top 5s, 2 victories in 1992. And when he went to Atlanta, Jerry, he just absolutely raced his heart out.
Can you believe the finish in Atlanta? What a weekend in Atlanta.
It started the first lap, and it kept on going for 328 laps. The greatest race I think I've ever seen.
Well, that was the 29th race of the season. We're going to start with race number 1 in Daytona and show you the entire season highlights when we come back. The 1992 NASCAR Season in Review is presented by McDonald's. What you want is what you get, guaranteed at McDonald's today. And in part by Anheuser-Busch, who proudly brings you Family Talk. Let's stop underage drinking before it starts.
It's McDonald's Holiday Film Festival, now featuring the American epic Dances with Wolves. The original full-length video, unbelievably priced at just $7.99 when you buy any large sandwich. So hurry in and pick up Dances with Wolves. Also available, the family favorite, Babes in Toyland, and the hilarious Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. These films just $5.99 each when you buy any large sandwich. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
This season, Bill Elliott's doing something he's never done before. He's driving the 670 horsepower Budweiser Thunderbird. But only after Junior says it's okay.
Mark and my relationship goes way past business. I'm sure in a previous life he and I were twin brothers. Throughout the race, the driver and crew chief communicate. The driver complains about the car or brags about the car. It's the crew chief's job on pit stops to make whatever fixes he can to help the driver's predicament. Everyone has about the same access to equipment and technology, but the people who rub on it the most and think the most of it and think about it the most will end up winning the race.
February at the beach in Daytona. The 33rd running of the Daytona 500 marked the last for the King, Richard Petty. Things seem to be going smoothly. That is, until Bill Elliott, Sterling Marlin, and Ernie Irvan decided to make it 3 wide exiting turn 2. The result, a 17-car melee, which would eventually eliminate a number of contenders, including Richard Petty. One front-runner, Davey Allison, miraculously made it through unscathed. Allison would go on to dominate for 102 of 200 laps, with his only challenge coming from the Wood Brothers Ford of Morgan Shepherd. But Davey would prevail for his first Daytona 500 victory, setting the scene for an emotionally charged roller coaster season. Davey Allison carried the momentum to Rockingham and Richmond, but couldn't outduel the Elliott Express. Before anyone had a chance to know what hit them, the Junior Johnson Budweiser team had steamrolled their way to 4 consecutive victories: Rockingham, Richmond, Atlanta, and Darlington. Mark Martin's first pole of the year allowed him to lead the field of the green flag at Atlanta. Elliot qualified 4th, while Daytona 500 winner Davey Allison started far back in 25th. Allison and Kulwicki would battle early, yet Kulwicki would fade in the late laps and finish a distant 7th. It seemed Allison's afternoon, as he would lead 160 laps until his luck changed during this late pit stop. A caution produced by the spinning car of Mike Wallace allowed a fuel-efficient Bill Elliott to pit under the yellow. Along the lead lap, Elliott would coast to consecutive win number 3.
I'll tell you what, when I went to the checkered flag, I was just amazed. I mean, I couldn't, you know, I was sitting there in the car, and I still had to call back, did I really win this race, you know?
You know, Richmond, we didn't have anything for Bill at the end of the race. During the early stages, we were competitive with him. Rockingham, we just happened to go the wrong way with a chassis adjustment. And then at Atlanta, we didn't catch the ladybug. I don't know what happened there.
In Darlington, everyone wondered if Elliott could win 4 in a row. Davey Allison again was strong, leading 171 laps en route to a 4th place finish. After leading early, Alan Kulwicki would lose an engine and finish 18th. Once again, Bill Elliott would take the checkered flag for his 4th consecutive victory. Bristol, Tennessee was a different story for Elliott, as the Express slammed to an early halt. Losing it in the early laps of the race, he had finished 20th. Points leader, Allison would have a tough day as well, losing it in this crash with Ernie Irvin and Ken Schrader, thus ending his day in 28th. It'd be a great day for the Joe Gibbs race team, as Dale Jarrett challenged Alan Kulwicki for the lead, but couldn't quite hold on as Kulwicki wound up in victory lane for the first time in 1992.
We're having a real good season. You know, I believe we were capable of performing like this, and things are going pretty well, and I'd really attribute a lot of that to maybe working out some of our problems last year. We had some mechanical failures that I think we got to the bottom of and straightened out, and I think now we got a little bit more dependable, reliable car.
At North Wilkesboro, again, points leader Davey Allison had his problems. Still suffering with injury from the previous week, his Ford collected bruises early. Pole sitter Alan Kulwicki posed a serious challenge in the early laps. But a determined Allison charged back to battle Rusty Wallace for the victory. At the end, Davey extended his point lead over Elliott by capturing win number 2 on the season. In Martinsville, Allison had another bumpy weekend. It all started here in Turn 1 after contact with the Chevrolet of Derek Cope. Once again, Alan Kulwicki would dominate the early laps. That is, until an axle problem would put him behind the wall, relegated to a 16th place finish. On lap 383, point leader Allison would contact the concrete and end his day in 26th spot. Kyle Petty had a frightening moment on lap 450, but escaped without harm. As the laps wound down, crew chief Steve Meal watched as Mark Martin hung on to take the checkered flag for his first victory in 1992. So with the short track season behind them, Davey Allison held a scant 26-point margin over Harry Gant. A surprising Terry Labonte held 3rd with Elliott 4th. On the strength of 1 win and 4 other top 10 finishes, Alan Kulwicki loomed in 5th as a force to be reckoned with. Next stop, Talladega Superspeedway. We'll see what happened there when we come back.
Newacker Jewelers in downtown Jeanette is going out of business. After 100 years, we must close our doors forever. Our loss is your gain. We're in the final stages of our going out of business sale. This is your opportunity to save up to 75% on diamonds, rings, 14-karat gold jewelry, watches, wedding bands, giftware, and fine gemstone jewelry. Hurry to Newacker Jewelers, downtown Jeanette. This is a lifetime opportunity to save. Newacker's is open Monday to Thursday 10 to 5, Friday 10 to 8, Saturday 10 to 4. All sales are final. We're still taking cash, checks, and major credit cards. Newacker's, downtown Jeanette. Our loss is your gain.
This is Neil Spence. Winter's here and traffic will be a mess. When I fly over it, I'll say to myself, there goes a Subaru passing everything in sight. Right, Mr. Ham?
That's right, Neil. We've got a Ham Good Subaru deal ready for you now, and plenty of Ham Good service after the sale. Don't spin your wheels when you can win the battle with Old Man Winter in a new Hamilton Subaru. Hamilton Subaru. We're your easy-to-get-to, easy-to-deal-with leader.
At Talladega, there was absolutely no doubt who had the dominant car. Crew Chief Larry McReynolds guided Davey Allison to win number 3 as he led 110 of 188 laps, setting himself up for a chance at the Winston Million. That victory at Talladega had many believing that Davey Allison could dominate the entire season, but no one could predict the drama ahead. So, with $1 million on their mind, the Robert Yates team headed to Charlotte. Despite repeating as champions of the Winston, a scary crash at the finish line with Kyle Petty put Davey Allison in the hospital, thus postponing those $1 million dreams and opening the door for Dale Earnhardt's lone victory of the year in the Coca-Cola 600, as well as Harry Gant's win a week later at Dover, Delaware. Now, Davey Allison would retain a 70-point lead over Harry Gant as the Winston Cup Tour headed west to Sonoma. Ernie Irvan literally got a head start on the field and would be black flagged by NASCAR on lap 1 for jumping the start. It would also be a long day for Davey Allison, as evidenced by this early spin. Other points leaders, Bill Elliot and Terry Labonte, would wage their own private war up front. As Allison pursued them, he experienced problems again. This spin produced a finish equal to his car number, 28. Coming from the rear of the field several times, Ernie Irvan would collect his second consecutive road course win and first of 1992. In June at Pocono, Ken Schrader would lead the field for the green flag, but Kulwicki crew chief Paul Andrews would watch his driver pull to a seemingly comfortable early lead. Eventually, Davey Allison would challenge. But it was deja vu in 92, an all-Ford show at the front. As the laps dwindled, a rare but costly miscue in the Allison pit. The car fell from the jack, costing Davey valuable time and giving Kulwicki the lead. The Wisconsin native would hold off all others for his second win of the season.
We just continually work on our weaknesses and try to improve them. And I think right now their team does not have a lot of weaknesses. They probably have less weaknesses than anyone else. Their engines are good. Larry's got the cars handling good week in and week out, and Davey's a good driver. So I'd say just, improve your weaknesses and you'll be a good team. That's what they've done.
The Allison crew wouldn't be down for long as they roared back with a vengeance. In their most dominating race of the season, they would lead 158 of 200 laps on the high banks of Michigan en route to win number 4 for the Yates Racing team, thus increasing their point lead to 67 over Elliot.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Richard Petty's finale at Daytona came with some patriotic flavor as President George Bush came to say farewell to the king. On the racetrack, Ernie Irvan took the early lead from Davey Allison. But some July 4th fireworks erupted in turn 2. Alan Kulwicki, third in the Winston Cup points, was victimized by this Morgan Shepherd spin, thus putting an end to his hopes for a strong finish. Bill Elliot would have his problems as well. Ernie Irvan collected win number 2 on the season, his second career victory at Daytona. Pocono looked like Allison was on his way to another dominating performance as he led 114 laps early until one of the most horrifying crashes in motorsports history. 11 flips in 4 seconds. Allison would survive with serious injuries, but it was a sight no one would soon forget. Kulwicki would challenge for the win. But it was Darrell Waltrip's experience, coupled with crew chief Jeff Hammond's fuel mileage, that was just enough to give old DW his first win in 1992. Believe it or not, Davey Allison would rebound to start the car the following week at Talladega, giving way to relief driver Bobby Hillett. With an impressive driving performance, Hillen would carry the Texaco Haviland Ford to a third-place finish, while Ernie Irvin collected victory number 3. Hillen's strong finish gave Allison and his crew an unbelievable 1-point lead over Elliot, heading into the home stretch for the Winston Cup Championship. Although finishing a disappointing 25th, Kulwicki would hold on to third place in the point standings.
Just what you wanted for the holidays. Movies from McDonald's for your family and friends. Give them the hilarious Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Or the family favorite Babes in Toyland. Each video just $5.99 when you buy any large sandwich. Or surprise them with Dances with Wolves, the original full-length version. Unbelievably priced at only $7.99 when you buy any large sandwich during McDonald's Holiday Film Festival. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
So we're under caution again here this afternoon as we break away for this word from our sponsors.
Eli, the season's almost over, and you know what that means.
Yeah, Christmas is just right around the corner.
You know, I wish I had a great gift for all my racing buddies this year.
That's easy, Barney. It's Nascar Winston Cup 92. It's the same hardcover book that covers the entire racing season, and they're really hard to find. As a matter of fact, they sell out every year. Here's mine from last year, so be careful with it, would you?
Wow, look at the color in that thing. Can you believe that?
This year's book includes a special section on Richard Petty's career, so it's sure to sell out, but you can order them only from the publisher. Every edition becomes a collector's item because the Winston Cup book is never reprinted.
You know, this is the perfect gift. How do I order?
It's very simple. Just call toll-free 1-800-234-9287. Give them your credit card number. The publisher guarantees delivery by Christmas time, and I'll tell you, you're going to love this NASCAR Winston Cup book, or they'll refund your money.
Tell you what, I think that's going to solve all my Christmas gift problems this year.
Sure will. Now let's get back to work. They're about to throw the green flag again.
Inclement weather threatened the Budweiser at the Glen as points leader Davey Allison welcomed relief from former Trans Am champ Dorsey Schrader. But this rain-shortened race wouldn't allow Dorsey enough time to make up the deficit, while Kyle Petty and Ernie Irvin battled up front. As the skies darkened, it was Kyle Petty flashing the smile. Although still nursing injuries, Allison would finish this race, but face a new crisis as he suffered the devastating loss of brother Clifford. Alan Kulwicki and Mark Martin would battle for the lead early, while teammates Bill Elliot and Sterling Marlin waged their own contest. Elliot finished third, and Allison would come home fifth. Meanwhile, fuel strategy paid off for Harry Gant as he squeezed out a surprising victory, his second on the season, moving him past Kulwicki into third place in the point standings. Meanwhile, Allison would fall 37 points behind current leader Bill Elliott. Under the lights at Bristol, Davey Allison continued to have his problems. He would slam the wall coming off of turn 3, leaving his crew to struggle to repair the rear end. Then would end his night on the front stretch on lap 262, thus dropping him 119 points off the pace. Contenders Kulwicki and Martin would also have their problems, but Alan Kulwicki would rebound and battle back for a strong fifth-place finish. At the end, new daddy Darrell Waltrip found himself in victory lane. Darlington brought a new weekend and renewed million-dollar hopes for the Yates crew. As rain threatened the raceway, necessary but untimely pit stops took their toll on the leaders. Bill Elliott's fuel economy allowed a third-place finish, but Davey Allison saw his chances for $1 million washed away. So as old DW danced his way into victory lane, the championship showdown was set for September.
September's going to be a critical month for all the teams running for the championship. You know, if they have a good September, that's going to set the stage for the championship.
Bill Elliott now had a 19-point lead over Davey Allison in the championship run heading to Richmond and Dover. At Richmond, Elliott would squeeze out a 14th place finish, while Davey finished 19th. At Dover, Bill would be runner-up to Ricky Rudd. Davey finished a respectable 4th. So some quick calculations will tell you that Awesome Bill had a 154-point lead over Davey as they both headed to Martinsville. Kyle Petty became a force to contend with in rainy Martinsville. while an early race spin saw points contender Davey Allison narrowly escape harm. Elliot and Allison would battle each other trying to avoid trouble. That is, until Elliot's engine blew. Allison, trying to seize the opportunity, ran in the top 5 until this tangle with Rusty Wallace relegated him to a 16th place finish. Kulwicki and Martin would have their problems too. The Bodine brothers, Brett and Jeff, made their way to the front, with Jeff ending up in victory lane for the first time in '92. North Wilkesboro saw more rain and another Monday start as Alan Kulwicki held the pole. Allison and Elliot continued to have bouts with bad luck, mired in the middle of the pack, while Kulwicki and Kyle Petty seemed to pick up steam. This close racing would produce one of the tightest point battles in Winston Cup history, with as many as 6 different drivers involved. In the end, Mr. Monday would not be denied as Jeff Bodine picked up his 2nd win in a row. Even though he had cut his points deficit to 70, the next 2 races at Charlotte and Rockingham took their toll on Allison and his crew, as they would retain a scant 15-point lead over a rapidly emerging Alan Kulwicki in 3rd. Well, Phoenix would fix all that, as the 2018 would get their first win in 4 months. It was the break the Yates team was looking for, as they led the 6 title contenders to Atlanta for the Winston Cup Championship showdown. Atlanta Motor Speedway hosted the largest sports crowd in the history of Georgia, as the King said farewell after 35 years. And Davey Allison looked to end his emotional year on a positive note, needing 5th or better to lock the championship. The drama started on lap 1 as pole sitter Rick Mast and Brett Bodine would spin, leading the pack. Allison would get through the wreck, but suffer damage to the left rear of his car. Kulwicki and Elliot would begin their battle early, challenging each other on every lap for the lead, while Allison tried to stay in the top 5 and battle contender Mark Martin. Then a crash that would end the most remarkable career in all of motorsports. Richard Petty's STP Pontiac erupts in flames as the King attempts to steer his damaged mount off the track to the attention of the fire safety crews. The King would finish 35th in his final Winston Cup race.
Come on, give her bring your extinguisher. It wasn't the kind of blaze of glory I wanted to go out in, but the main thing is nobody got hurt in the wreck, and I've spent 35 years doing this, and I'm still walking around talking, so good Lord looked after me for a long time.
Davey Allison had the lead on the racetrack until running over some debris, causing serious concern among the Yates crew. As they plotted to fix the car, a lucky caution produced by this rare Dale Earnhardt spin gave Allison a break, as the team found the hole in the left front of the car and quickly accomplished their repairs. Kulwicki and Elliot continued to lead, exchanging the advantage and a few bumps on every critical lap. Although Davey tried to catch them, his day in championship hopes came to a sudden halt.
It's all over for Davey Allison.
No, it's not over yet. I don't think you hit him that hard, maybe.
Allison would try to restart the car, but it was not to be, thus ending his championship dreams.
That's just the way it goes sometimes. We had some troubles, and we're trying to work our way back up there, just trying to run a smart race, and ran over something in turn 3 earlier in the race, and we had to come in and repair the car from that. We caught a lucky caution flag, and I thought, all right, we're going to be okay now. And then I saw Ernie get loose over there in 4, and we just ran out of room. I hate it for all of them guys in the garage area. Everybody at Robert Yates Racing deserves a lot better than this. And, they deserve to win that championship this year, and we didn't get it, so we'll just go back and we'll get ready for next year, and we'll come out and try again. It just wasn't meant to be.
And then there were just 2, Alan Kulwicki and Bill Elliott.
Bill Elliott comes off the 4th corner. He wins the Hooters 500. But Alan Kulwicki is coming off of corner number 4, knowing that he's winning the championship. There's the checkered flag for Alan. He's the champion for 92.
Kulwicki led 103 to Elliott's 102 laps during the race to earn his 2nd Polish victory lap. he shared the spotlight with the King to celebrate his first career championship. The first for a driver car owner since fittingly Richard Petty did it in 1979.
We ran great. I led the most laps. I knew how far I had to go in a race to lead the most laps, and at that point, you know, there was no way that he could beat me. This championship's what I wanted, and I just, you know, thank God for the fortune to be here and to be an American and compete on the Winston Cup circuit. Just a storybook ending, having Hooters sponsor the race, and my dad's here, and just really wonderful.
So here's a look at the final 1992 Winston Cup point standings. We'll wrap things up when we return.
It's McDonald's Holiday Film Festival, now featuring the American epic Dances with Wolves. The original full-length video, unbelievably priced at just $7.99 when you buy any large sandwich. So hurry in and pick up Dances with Wolves. Also available, the family favorite, Babes in Toyland, and the hilarious Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. These films just $5.99 each when you buy any large sandwich. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
You know, I've messed up on a few relationships in my life, but there's one that's lasted over 35 years with a lot of help from Quaker State. It's tough on wear, tough on sludge. So Quaker State and I are planning on a meaningful relationship with my new car. So why don't you do the same with your new car's engine, and Quaker State will guarantee it for 250,000 miles or 10 years in writing. You think if I gave Lonnie the Quaker State deal, she'd give me the same guarantee? Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
The McDonald's All-Star Team voting for 1993 selected by you, the fan. Harry Gant, Dale Earnhardt, and Bill Elliott. Davey Allison and Ricky Rudd finished 4th and 5th in the voting.
Many people were surprised at Alan Kulwicki's Winston Cup championship because he accomplished the feat as an independent, as driver and car owner. But as Alan says, the title resulted from a lot of personal sacrifice, dedication, and just plain stubbornness.
I probably represent the underdog to a lot of people. The odds of me making it this far, especially this way, are very, very slim. There's thousands of other short track racers around the country that would like to be here doing this the way I'm doing it right now, and hopefully I've maybe been an inspiration to some of those people, and if anything, I think I'm probably the person that the underdog pulls for. If there's one quality that it takes to make it in this business, it's persistence, and you can't ever, 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 ever give up. And I look back, you know, on my career and some of the things that I did to get to this point. When I go back to the local dirt track maybe once a year to see where I started, and I look at what's happening there and where I am now, and I say, how did I ever get this far? If I had to do that over again, I don't know if I could do that again. And at the time, maybe you wish it would happen easier or faster, but if I had to do it over again, I don't think I'd change anything.
Jerry, Alan Kulwicki is sure to be an inspiration to all aspiring driver car owners. And as 1992 is put in the history books, we're sure to miss two other inspirations. NASCAR's technical director Dick Bader retires, and the king, Richard Petty, leaves the driver's seat to be a car owner. But the battle for the 1993 championship should be even more intense when we head to Daytona as teams become more competitive. I can't wait for it all to start again in February.
I can't either, Benny. Unbelievably, NASCAR racing just seems to get better year after year. Well, that'll do it for us until 1993 in Daytona. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in February. The 1992 NASCAR Season in Review is presented by McDonald's. What you want is what you get, guaranteed at McDonald's today. And in part by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.